St. Louis is shrinking, and quickly, at one of the fastest rates among cities in America. As families move to the suburbs and deaths outpaced births, fears have grown of a looming demographic winter, a future where too few people remain to sustain the local economy. Like many other cities across the United States, what St. Louis needs to remain economically viable long-term is people. And many here had hoped that welcoming immigrants and refugees would help to at least partly offset years of population decline. But more restrictive immigration policies under the Trump administration have made pursuing that strategy more difficult. Few understand that better than Blake Hamilton, CEO of the International Institute of St. Louis, a nonprofit that supports immigrants and refugees.
We hear stories from immigrants who are afraid to go to work, afraid to take their kids to school, afraid to seek health care for chronic conditions because of this fear that they are going to be somehow plucked up and issued deportation orders. So that creates a strain on growth, period.
A recent travel ban on Afghans has been a source of distress for the growing community here, especially those with remaining loved ones back home. After the Taliban retook Afghanistan in 2021, Afghan arrivals hit historic highs in St. Louis.
It makes me feel sad for my cousins, not just for my cousins, for all Afghan, especially for Afghan women.
And lots of families, they wait to get their close member families in here. But by new rules or by whatever the government decided, it makes hard.
Still, they consider themselves lucky, with many hoping to lay down roots and establish businesses. Today, some are pitching for a $20,000 grant sponsored by the International Institute. Nagina Shinwari wants to launch a clothing line for South Asian women.
This is my idea, my own idea.
Saeed Mohammed Anwar is planning to import gemstones from Afghanistan.
And you start your business, maybe it's a right time.
They would be following in the footsteps of fellow Afghan entrepreneurs who've long established themselves in St. Louis. One of the judges of the contest is Fahim Mohammed. He's owned a restaurant here since 2005. But he says that tougher immigration policies are likely to hit him as a business owner.
To be honest, I felt like we still have not recovered from the psychological shockwave that was associated with the COVID, the pandemic. The inflation, the labor, with the policies of the current administration, it's really hard to have, there is definitely shortage of, workers for not only the restaurant, but for every other sector of the economy. And, when you have restricted immigration, you notice, this president policy, someday, he will enforce it, and the day after he will take it out.
Despite the uncertainty, Fahim Mohammed has decided on optimism.
So all I'm doing is just waiting. It's just 3.5 more years, a little bit less than 3.5, and we'll endure it. America is resilient.
Back to the contest. The $20,000 grant has gone to Nagina Shinwari and her South Asian apparel business idea, a hopeful step forward for one more immigrant in a city that says it needs people like her so it too can move forward.